Bring them on camera. No, I'm not going to do that. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, in my house today, the one and only CASEY CORBIN.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Amazing. Yeah. Arm Pryor, right? Arm
Pryor.
Pryor's favorite son.
I don't know about that. For a while, I've always thought I've been number 2.
Okay.
Todd Nicholson is number 1. I think he's a 3-time Paralympic gold medal champion and the former captain of the sledge hockey Canadian hockey team.
You'll never be number 1.
No, I remember one year they asked me to do the 2nd annual business awards for the town. And I called my sister up. I was like, oh, 2nd. It's not 1st. And I was like, ugh. And then I was like, well, at least if I do the 2nd, they probably won't have to build a ramp this year. So, yeah. And then my sister was like, you're so bad. And I was like, well, it's true. He gets everything, so.
He does get everything.
But he's well acclaimed, and yes, and he deserves it.
Gold medals.
I tell dick jokes.
Yeah.
Well, not really, but I'm silly on stage, and
you're very silly.
And he's a well-traveled Olympic champion and public spokesperson and everything like that.
What is Todd? What
I think it's
Nicholson?
Todd Nicholson. Yeah.
Okay, so that's you. You'll never compete with the double gold in the sledge hockey. But so you've done Just for Laughs?
Yes, Just for Laughs.
How many times have you done that? Because I just Googled you as you were pulling into the driveway.
Okay, so I've only done the festival once. I did the 25th anniversary. Which was a good year to go. Before that, I had toured with them, opening for Harlan Williams in a theater tour called the Tasty Treats Tour.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I've done JFL 42 probably about 3 or 4 times now.
How do you do for the 42nd edition 3 times?
Well, I just open up for different people.
But doesn't 42 mean it's the 42nd year?
No, JFL 42 is the Toronto Comedy Festival. And what it is 42 different shows over a span of 2 weeks. And it's even more than that. There's more than 42 shows. But originally they started with 42, and it's just JFL 42. And it's really cool. It's online. And the way they have it is their pricing scheme is, okay, they have like 6 headlining shows.
Yeah.
So you buy the headlining show you want to go to, and then you get credits.
Mm-hmm.
And then your credits that you have left, you spend on the other 42 shows that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go see Bill Burr, he's one of the main events.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you see Bill Burr, you can go see Rory Scovel. You can go to the alternative show. You can go to the Best of Absolute Comedy show.
Wow.
You can go to all these different shows, and the more shows you go to, the more credits they give you, extra credits.
Yeah.
So you're buying your package. But you get rewarded for going to shows by getting more credits to go to another additional 2 shows.
I'm so confused, but it sounds intriguing, especially Rory Scovel.
That's who I usually open up for.
He's awesome.
Yeah, whenever I tour or whenever he comes up here, I usually open for him.
Yeah, he's never been to Ottawa. Is that correct?
No, he was in Ottawa. We played Ottawa in 2013 for probably maybe 20 people.
Come on.
Above the, I think the bar was called Mavericks at the time, down in the market. It's this little bar, upstairs bar.
Yeah, I know where it is.
And there's a small stage, and it's a small room.
Yeah.
And 20 people was maybe 27. Not more than 30 people, but in that room, that's a fair amount.
Yeah.
And, it was a real fun show.
I used to get chicken wings there like in the 90s, I think. It was an amazing place.
It was me and him, and then we went down to Toronto. We did the comedy bar down there, and then, but this is like 2015. It's not 2018 now.
Yeah, which is
5 years later.
5 years different.
He's starring in I Feel Pretty, so he's done well for himself.
Really, in 5 years, he's gone from 20 people in a upstairs old Mark Hatfield chicken wing place to. Whatever you just said.
Well, yeah, to a movie, and then to a Netflix special, and multiple 6 or 7 Conan appearances.
Unbelievable.
It's really cool that my two him and John Doerr, who are often connected because they've done Conan together. They're both really good friends of mine. Like John introduced me to Rory in 2006.
Was he the guy did they have a show together?
Well, they did Conan twice together, but they don't
together. Okay, I think I've seen that clip. I think that's what turned me on to him. Was seeing that clip where
they're basically. I think it's John's supposed to come on Conan.
Yeah.
And Conan's like, oh well, we've actually double booked the comedian, and then they're like, no, both comedians have agreed that's okay. They're both going to perform.
Yeah.
So the idea is, you think they're both going to come out and do 3 minutes each?
Yeah.
No, they both come out, and then they start delivering their acts at the exact same time, and it's so confusing and it's so ridiculous, but at the same time, it works, and it's so well synced and so funny, and it just was really huge. And it was really cool to see, that's John. John is like, he's obviously thought of this, and they worked it out in the at some clubs around LA, I believe, and they brought it to Conan, and it just worked.
Yeah.
But the thing is like what made it work was Conan having to sell the fact that they made this mistake and they double booked the show, because if Conan doesn't do that, then there's no believability to any of it.
Yeah.
So the gag is up, But the fact that Conan he had to be 100% in on it and not waver.
Yeah.
And that's cool that Conan's like that.
That is
like,
cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's to get all those parts working too. I remember I totally saw that. I think someone was posting. It might have been you posting it online about him being on Conan or something, and then I went down one of them rabbit holes, Rory Scovel. I'm like, wow, this guy's huge, and he's very similar to John Doerr in that he's sort of just. What's the word for his kind of comedy? Like,
well, it's not. It could be considered alternative.
Alternative, yeah, okay.
But it's it's very. Rory did improv before doing stand up.
Yeah.
So he's very good at improv.
Yeah.
So he brings that to his stand up, and within his act he creates characters, and then he does the characters, and I think he's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
And the same with John, and they are very similar, but yet again they're totally different.
Mm-hmm.
When John, so this is like 2006, and John was at West in Calgary, and Rory was already there, and then I was going out, and Rory was still going to be out there, and John was leaving, but we had like a 2-day crossover.
Okay.
And John called me, and he actually said, "Oh, when are you out here?" And I was like, "I'm coming out like next week." He goes, "You got to get out here. There's this guy. You have to meet him. He's just like us." And what he meant is he likes to joke around all the time.
Like off stage too.
Off stage, and just as funny off stage as on stage. Even funnier.
Oh man!
And that's like what hanging out with John is like, and that's what hanging out with Rory is like, and I love hanging out. Like Harlan's like that too. Harlan Williams, he loves to just joke around a lot, like, and it's such a treat, when people want to be. It can get annoying when you don't want it. But, but it's just like, we all know our limits, and it's so great because when I go out there and meet Rory, and then Rory ends up opening for me, and we had such a good time where we're like, well, next year, why don't we both come out in October again, and we can and we'll do the same tour. So we booked the same tour. And then he came out and he opened for me for half of those shows as well. And we got to spend another month together in this. Because on your off nights, you used to stay in Calgary at the Blackfoot Hotel. So, and there used to be all these tours that would correspond when it was all one under Yuck Yucks. And so in the hotel, at any given week, like Monday, Tuesday, you have 6, maybe 7, maybe 5 comics just staying there that are on their off night.
Yeah. That like to be silly off the stage.
Well, some of them do, some of them don't. Yeah. Some of them just like to keep themselves. Like some of the older vets, like Kenny Robinson would be out there, or Bobby Keel, and it was quite funny. So we had such a good time on both those tours. Like those were really the foundation for my friendship with Rory to this day. And then of course John and I are still friends. I can't wait till he comes to town. He's in town in July.
Right. That's right. Early July, right? Yes, that's right. I'm out of town, unfortunately. I remember him on Daytime as the host.
Yeah.
And that made that show so fun to watch.
Well, so there's a book that is called The Gateway to Carp.
Okay.
It's like a PDF book.
Yeah.
It's about the history of Ottawa comedy. And there's a comedian, Don Kelly is quoted in the book by saying, John was a regular stand-up, and when he was in Ottawa, he wasn't really alternative per se, but he really found his alternative edge when he went to Toronto and he teamed up with Mark Forward at the Rivoli. And I was like, well, that's not true at all. That's not true, because I think a lot of John's comedy being alternative is just, it's not really John being alternative, it's just John being John.
Yeah.
John likes to waste people's time. He likes to he likes to just waste time.
Yeah.
He likes to be a bit of a goof.
Yeah.
And waste their time. And when he was doing stand up in the 90s, when he started out, I honestly believe he was finding who he was at on stage. He didn't know till he could be John Doerr.
Yeah.
But when he was on daytime, that's the same John Doerr. That's the alternative John Doerr.
Yeah.
Like he used to terrorize his co-host.
Yeah.
Through that morning chat.
That's right.
He was never serious.
She was good at it too. She was good at being that role too.
Which she was very adamant about her job. Like she thought she was Kathy Giffen.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's community cable at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Like one time, John said he saw JFK, and then for about maybe 3 weeks straight, maybe 2 weeks straight, every morning chat, he's like, how can we talk about the dog show when there's a president dead on our hands? And he would keep quoting JFK, and it would drive her insane, but she had to keep her composure.
Yeah.
And that to me was like, that's alternative.
Yeah.
Or
or for sure.
he used to do this. He used to be like, oh, my friend Casey, his alarm clock's broken, so I just have to wake him up. Hold on a second. He's like, Casey, wake up, Casey. Okay, as you were saying, and he did that numerous times.
Yeah.
And I used to wake up at 11 just to watch.
Me too.
John on, because I'm like, or when he would host fill in for Swap Shop. He was like, he would come down to the club. He's like, hey guys, I'm hosting Swap Shop tonight. So whoever wants to phone in with their bullshit stories, go ahead. So it would be John hosting Swap Shop. And then all of a sudden, we've got a caller. It's John from Gloucester. Hey John, how are you? Ooh, hey there. He's like, John, what do you have? Ooh, I'm selling my grandmother's wedding ring. He's like, oh, wow, that sounds really nice. Is there anything you can tell us about it? Well, it's still on the hand. The hand, the hand is attached. He's like, okay, well, that's John from Gloucester. He's selling his grandmother's wedding ring, and he's throwing the hand in for free. So what else do you have? I also have a blood-stained wedding dress. And it's John Steinberg, obviously, on the phone with John Doerr.
John Steinberg, too.
Yeah, they're doing a sketch on a serious show called a Swap Shop.
Those are all like some of my favorite comedians right there, man. Mark Forward, John Steinberg. Wow.
Yeah, well, we came, like, in Ottawa, the 90s, the late 90s was when I came up, and everybody that came up got on television. It was really quite amazing. Like, Jason Harper used to be, like, well, he's still a good comic, but back in the 90s, he won every single contest in Ottawa. And he did it back to back Just for Laughs in like 2000, 2001. He was so tight and so like bam, bam, and so fresh. And he was the first one that got on TV. They had the search for Canada's funniest new comedian, and he got to go to Toronto to compete in this contest, and it was on televised by the Comedy Central, Comedy Network, Comedy. And he placed third to Nikki Payne and Ryan Belleville. Okay. Both amazing comics. However, I call shenanigans because those two were part of the Humber program in the first year. Yeah. They got scholarships, and I think they replaced 1 and 2 because of the program and because Mark's name is on the program and on the special. The reason why I think that is because when you watch the special, they show Nikki Payne's set for a minute, minute 20. They show Ryan Belleville for maybe 2 minutes, and Jason Harper, who came third, they aired his set 6 minutes and a few seconds uninterrupted, uncut.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if he came third, why does he get his whole set shown and the first 2 don't?
Yeah.
It's because he didn't go to Humber. He had to,
Right.
he had to earn his way there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that they didn't earn their way there.
Yeah.
Clearly, they've become amazing comedians. But that it was hosted by Adam West and
That man?
Yeah, wow. That man. But Jay Harper walked on. He's like, "Please welcome Jason Harper." And Jay walked on. The first thing he's like pointing at him. He's like, "Oh, Superman!" And everybody, and then boom, like he got an applause break. I think on that alone, and just had such a good set. So he got television early, and then it was like Wafik got TV, and everybody like Mike Beatty got a comedy. Everybody got. It was like you get a comedy now. You get a comedy now. Like seriously, Mike Beatty got a comedy now. Rick Curry had a comedy now. Tracy McDonald had a comedy now. I had a comedy now. Wafik had a comedy now. John had a comedy now. Jen Grant had a comedy now. Andrea Jensen had a comedy now. I'm probably. And then you look like later on, like Steve Patterson had a comedy now. Who came in late. I believe. I would imagine that Don Paré must have had a comedy now. I'm assuming. Who else? Jason Lawrence had a comedy now. Jim McNally had a comedy now. It's insane. Like, that's a lot to just be in one pool of talent at one time.
And they still air all those, right? Is that true?
Yeah, they do.
Like I know Wafik, every time his is on, somebody talks about it online.
Yeah, mine airs, I think, 10 times a year.
Wow. You get paid for that?
No.
Not even close.
No,
probably not even the time.
At the time, the buyout was like the biggest of my career.
Yeah.
It's like $4,000.
Wow, that's good.
No,
that's terrible. That's a lot of fajitas at the Lone Star, though.
Oh my God, it is a lot of fajitas at the Lone Star. But I'll tell you, Meg, when I heard what one of my friends got offered for an hour special on Comedy Central, and I got an hour special on Canadian Comedy Network.
Yeah. What was that?
His was started. It went from 95 in between 95 and 120 grand.
Wow.
And I was like, I got $4,000.
What's Jason Harper? Is he still doing comedy?
He still does comedy, yeah, and he's a mailman as well.
Really?
Yeah.
In what city?
In here in Ottawa. Yeah, he pops up every now and again. He's got a family, so he doesn't do as much comedy as he used to. He's kind of pulled back. But I just did a show with him at Christmas, and he was fine. Did a good show, and I think he was just on a Just for Laughs showcase at Absolute.
Yeah.
For Just for Laughs as well.
This year?
Yeah, this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's still out there doing his thing, and yeah, most of my friends are. Maybe one or two of my friends pulled out, like stopped doing comedy. Rob Cowley is a guy who used to be really, really funny. Still is really, really funny.
Yeah.
But he went into art, and he's an art appraiser, and he owns a gallery, and he sells fine art online, and is auctioned off like Lauren Harris and Tom Thompson's, and
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he's done crazy. He made the right choice.
Yeah. He's making some
good cash.
So I mean, you talk about competitions and how they're all fixed. That's a joke.
Yeah, well, some are, I believe.
Yeah, I won the Yuck Yucks winter competition, completely fixed.
Was it?
But this is what I wanted to talk to you about, because you won the Brantford Comedy Festival.
Yes.
And you won what, 10 grand?
Yes, 10 grand.
And so this is what happened to me. This is how you affected my life. And I've heard this happen before. I heard Jim Carrey signed himself a check. I had a friend in university signed himself a check.
Yeah.
And all those things came true, right? Jim Carrey signed it for $1 million, gave it to his dad. You signed yourself a check for something or other.
Yeah.
And you won money. And I heard that, and I'm like, CASEY CORBIN can do it. I'm going to win this competition. And before the competition started, I wrote, and it's in my wallet. I wrote myself a check from Yuck Yucks for $500. That's how you win.
Yeah.
And I won.
Yeah.
I got a real check for $500.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's number one, it's the power of positivity. Like as an athlete, did you never use any visualizing
Oh,
and
tons.
focusing?
All that stuff.
It
I
all
did.
applies in real life too,
Yeah, I
though.
had a vision board before Oprah or Winfrey did, and
Yeah.
I had a picture of myself playing football this year, and all NFL football or in university, and then NFL football players that played the same position as me all around it. And in fact, my kid found it in the basement this year.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was long gone. And he pulls it out. He goes, "What's this, Dad?" And that was on my wall in university, and I saw myself next to these NFL football players, and that's what drove me every single day, and as well as other things, goal setting.
Yeah,
and
it's not like you just cut it out and it shows up.
That's right.
No, it's just something that you look at, and inspires you, and you work towards it.
Yeah.
And I still have vision boards to this day. Like I'm probably gonna make a new one at the end of the summer.
Okay.
Because I look at the one that I built, a couple of, like 2014.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has already been achieved.
Amazing.
So, and it's just like, I don't go crazy. I'm not putting Lamborghinis and stuff. It's more about what it represents.
Yeah.
Like, in my act, I say, I put blowjobs on my vision board, So, but yeah, it's about, it's just made to inspire you to work towards it. And I think they're great. And I put like a picture of me holding a big check. Mm-hmm. As I just, the amount was there. And then, sure enough, it was like not even 2 years later, I'm on stage in front of 1,000 people holding a big check.
That's incredible.
And it was like, since I put the pictures together on Instagram, and it is a cool moment, and people love that stuff. And it does inspire people, and I think it's fantastic. And I don't think that contest Brantford is fixed.
That's a joke, completely a joke.
No. I think a lot of them are.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of them are.
Yeah.
But, well, not necessarily fixed, but sort of hindered or a curve towards who they want to win.
But not any more than life is, right? Like, you make your path, you make things a little bit easier for you in the things that you do surrounding everything. It's not... it's hard to describe, especially comedy, something that's so subjective, right? You get up there and there's three people deciding who they think are the funniest. But if that person knows you from somebody who's helped out at the Good Shepherds of Good Hope, and there's all kinds of things that go into someone's opinion about art, right? So you can't just go up and say, "Oh, that guy picked that person because he was told to." I don't think anyone tells anyone to pick it, but there are, judges who are biased based on other things that can't be perceived at the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Like even last year, with Top Comic, which is the biggest competition in the country, $25,000. It's a fantastic competition, and Just for Laughs is involved in it as well as Top Comic. And I really think SiriusXM satellite radio Canada Laughs is the best thing for comedy in Canada, as far as promoting Canadian talent on a regular basis, which is every day, all day, playing us in America, and getting us out there, getting us, with sound exchange, people getting paid for residuals. That's never happened in Canada before for comics. Now comics can start making more money, and that creates more opportunity for them to sink their teeth into more projects. And it's better for everybody all around. And so, I just love SiriusXM satellite radio and what they do. And Top Comic is a great contest. But, it was like a couple of years ago, my friend was in it, and I thought he should have won. He didn't win. And the winner, also fantastic. And but I just did not think, I think a lot of these contests, and he said, "I'm not doing another contest," because he's coming second a few contests.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm not doing another contest until the judges start posting their, it's like a math test. Show your work.
Yeah.
Show me how you came to this conclusion." Because, I know it's impossible, and it's like, it's what the judge prefers. Like, the judge you might have the better set that night. You might destroy. But if that judge just prefers a different style of comedy that he saw this guy deliver, well,
Can be anything, right?
It could be anything.
Yeah.
So, but when sometimes, it's easy to say they're fixed is when you're, especially if
when you're losing,
or when you're a conspiracy nut and you make up conspiracies all the time, and you're like, oh yeah. So it's easy to make up, but I'm fairly sure it's run fairly, and and it's a hard competition to get into. So,
Right. It's I mean, contests, you look at judging art, judging comedy, it's really hard for the people who don't win. It's what it is. You got to think, when you don't win those things, that it doesn't mean you're not good. It doesn't mean you're not as good as the person who won. It just meant here's a great opportunity for that person who won, and we should all be happy, right? Because when one person does well, the whole industry does well.
Look if you get seen and you get heard in that competition, that's just something being there. I know they say whatever, losers, but you learn to fail upwards.
Yep.
You make the best out of it. You know what? You got some press going to this thing. Yep. Your name got out there a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Now you did it, and your experience. Just for lots of people are judges. They've seen you. Mm-hmm. Your chances of getting in the festival, like anytime you get seen by them, it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So anytime they see you, even if you're showcasing or not, it's good because they see you and they think of you, and and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And who knows? They're still announced. I don't even know if they've announced who's going to the festival yet this year.
I don't think I've heard that for the homegrown thing,
or for anything.
Oh, really?
Well, a few big names. Yeah. I've heard them announced, but who knows? Who knows? They're still looking at people. So yeah.
And the contests also build an excitement for comedy too, right? Like when there's a contest going on at a club, it's a lot more exciting to go and see than just an average normal night, right?
Yeah, because comics are going to be bringing their best.
That's right.
So and not only that, there's a competition brings out the best for competitors, mm-hmm. and I think it's good. Yep. Like people you can say, competitions like it's comedy shouldn't be judged or whatever. It's like, well, no. Every joke you do is judged. Yep. That's what you throw it out there, and then you get the reaction. Mm-hmm. If they don't laugh, guess what? They don't like the joke.
That's right. Yeah.
Move on to the next one. Yeah. So to say comedy can't be judged is the dumbest thing to say ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Not ever, but
now there's some dumber things. You're right.
I really exaggerate when I say dumbest thing ever. Or when I always throw ever on a lot of things.
Ever. It's the dumbest thing
just to show
ever.
that I'm serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go backwards in time then. So you're from Arnprior, and you have a sister. Yeah. That's what I've got so far.
Yeah, I've got a sister. I've got a brother from Arnprior. Actually born in Renfrew, raised in Arnprior. Love being from Arnprior. Mm-hmm. I don't even have a place there anymore, but I still wave the flag for it.
Yeah. Is that Sarah Freemark from Arnprior?
Who's that?
Sarah Freemark.
I'm not sure who that is.
Podcast. She's on the...
I don't know. I know. Well, Nigel Grinstead is from Arnprior.
Nigel, okay.
Yeah,
very funny
he's
guy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's a homegrown winner. He won the homegrown a
couple
years ago. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he's awesome. I saw him, I guess it was showcasing for maybe, I don't know what it was. It was Top Comic, I think, in Ottawa. And he did this thing where he did a dolphin sound.
Yeah.
Do you know the joke?
No.
I won't do it. But he does a thing where he does a dolphin sound. And since that time, because I played for the Dolphins, so I thought if I could do that too, that would be hilarious, something or other to throw in. Because I do in 95, I played with the Dolphins, cost $80 at SeaWorld. And if I could do the... and he does it so well. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Arnprior, and then you have a sister. That's it.
No, a sister and a brother.
Okay.
I have a sister in Vanier, brother in Canada.
Wow.
And
what happened to the sister? Not doing so well.
Oh no, she owns a house.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and potential crime scene. Yeah. So any yard is a potential crime scene in Vanier.
Yeah.
I literally I went to her place to pick up her car to drive out here. And there were 3 cops in a backyard talking to someone as I was driving through her neighborhood.
Nice.
So I was just like, oh, what are you going to do, Vanier?
Yeah.
But a guy on the show 2 nights ago at Absolute said, as I was doing my show, he's like, hey, thanks for not making fun of Vanier. And I was like, well, why would I do that? Like, I'm like, who doesn't love cheap real estate and bingo?
It's true though, because you can't use Vanier jokes anymore. They're too easy, right? You got to do Orleans or something else.
Everybody does. And when you come back here and you hear Vanier, it's like, and then it's like, and then if they don't use Vanier, it's Cornwall. It's always Vanier and Cornwall.
Yeah, you gotta go a little further,
It's like get some more creative.
Yeah,
like learn about a town and make fun of them.
What's you have a line too about how you can't choose your neighbors or something?
Yeah,
bad neighbors.
Yeah, but you can't choose your neighbors, and the Bible says love thy neighbor. And I was like, well, that's the dumbest rule ever. Like you don't even know my neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Because when that rule was written, there were like 3 neighborhoods maximum. So it's so he's like, you have to like all your neighbors. We all get along. It's good. But, the world's overpopulated. There's no way you can like all your neighbors.
I like my neighbors. They're far away from me here.
Yeah, you've got a good perimeter. So
it's a very good perimeter.
It's good.
And we're up on a hill here too. So if I want to take any of them out,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're sitting ducks. You're an excellent joke writer. Your jokes always seem to come around back, with a point, sort of.
Yeah.
And so is that something that you do when you write a bit?
I often write bits backwards.
Okay.
I will have the punchline, and then I'll figure out how to get there.
Okay.
So, and then it's just about a lot of misdirection and some clever wordplay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like to do, and I like to be silly as well. But it's also about storytelling and telling a believable story that that they think is serious. They think this story is real, and then once the misdirection hits, then the laughter ensues, and it's just a matter of tagging and tagging and tagging and just making the joke better and better and better. I tell like a lot of little short stories on stage, as well as like most of them, like most of my stuff is based in reality, but then I just like really write on it. And actually most of the stories have not happened to me. Sometimes I just make them up, like based on like I have a story about the Toronto Ripley's Aquarium, and I just saw an ad that said Toronto Ripley's Aquarium where staring isn't creepy. And I thought, well, that's odd, because if you stare at anything long enough, it's going to become creepy.
Yeah.
And then I thought, okay. And then I thought, Ripley's, believe it or not. Okay, I have to go from creepy to believe it or not. Mm-hmm. How am I going to do that? How am I going to work those two in the same bit?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, obviously, because obviously I make myself usually the butt of the joke. So I was like, okay, well, what if I go to the aquarium and I get accused of staring creepily at a kid? And like that would be an awkward situation, and and I'm like, okay, well, why would I do that? And I was like, oh, well, probably because if we're gonna factor in some more of the equation, it's okay. Well, maybe I'm on mushrooms and I don't know what I'm looking at, and I don't see the kid, and then I know the aquarium, the jellyfish room is very vibrant and electric. It looks like a lava lamp. Mm. So I just pretend that I'm in that room, focused on the jellyfish, and I'm trying to capture them and poke them and eat them. Meanwhile, there's a kid in front of the thing, and the parent, and he sees me, and it looks like I'm trying to poke and eat him.
Yeah.
So there's a mistaken twist that I'm being mistaken as a pedophile. And so they bring me into a room and they ask me these questions, but I'm dumb and I'm on mushrooms.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I played stupid. They're like, come with us. I was like, oh, did I win something? And they're like, we have some questions for you. I'm like, yeah, of course. Contesting questions. What are they? And then I call back to a joke way earlier in the set. If they get it, they get it. They don't. I like opportunities to do callbacks through my sets just to see if people are listening. So then, basically I'm in, detention with 5 security guards, and I'm on mushrooms, and I'm, there by myself. And I was caught staring creepily to a child. So basically, in the end, this is the final end of the bit. And people are like, they think this is all happening. Yeah. They're still involved in the story. Yeah. Because they believe that I'm on mushrooms. They believe that I was there. And they believe that this is a situation that is real. Yeah. And then when I say, there's nothing I could do, there was 5 of them. I just had to tell them the truth. And I was like, I'm 42 years old. I'm on mushrooms. I'm by myself. I don't fuck kids. Now that I've seen that one, I'll tell you, especially him. He's not even good looking. He's no Macaulay, Yeah. And then I say, that's the best I can do, people. That's the best I can do. I just have to be honest because in the end, they're Ripley's. It's up to them whether they want to believe it or not.
I love
And
it.
it's such a long story to
Yeah.
get to that punchline.
Yeah.
But by the end, it's not it's a they love it and then they just applaud because they were hook, line, and sinker
Yeah.
for this whole story. And it's just for a horrible little punchline
It's
at the end.
great. I remember that really well. It was like a year ago I heard that.
Yeah, and I don't do it very often because it's long and tenuous to do. It feels on stage.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it this tour because I'm going to record it this weekend. But it's somebody, Nick Carter, who is a comedian in Ottawa that I absolutely adore. He said it was very similar to Norm Macdonald's moth joke.
Okay.
And Norm has been on Conan. He tells a story. It's a long-winded story to get to like the dumbest punchline ever. And I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But it's on YouTube. Just type in Norm Macdonald moth joke.
Yeah.
It's on Conan, and it's such a long-winded story that gets I didn't realize that it was very similar in the way it's written until he said that. But I'm like, what can I say? I'm heavily influenced by Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
He's my favorite comedian of all time. So, like I love the fact that he plays a simpleton on stage. He's dumb, but you can tell by his writing and everything he says, he's not dumb at all. He's highly intelligent.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite comedians.
Yeah.
Derek Edwards is another genius at that.
Really?
Who is just like he's aloof, and a hick, and but his material's just so well written and so funny, and he
It's
has
one
such
I've
a
never
great
seen.
voice. Oh, you got to see Derek Edwards. He used to. That's the thing. Like I came up in the Ottawa Yuck Yucks here in the '90s, and I got to see some of the great. Like I got to come up underneath and work underneath Mike Wilmot, Derek Edwards, Stuart Francis, Tom Stade. These are all amazing comics, and I was like, what do the kids have today? Me? Come on.
Casey Corbin.
I'm like, that's ridiculous. I can't even imagine.
You're going to be surprised. 20 years from now, there'll be people on this podcast talking about Casey Corbin. I used to watch him, and I've kind of copied his Ripley's joke, but it's because I look up to him.
I've had some nice comedians say some things. Mike Rita, who I think is a really good comic. He when he was 16, he emailed my website after my Comedy Now and said he was a big fan and he loved my special and asked me a bunch of questions. And
it's the way to do it, man.
You know what? I love that because that's what Deion Sanders did in college.
Yep.
He used to just seek out pros, get their numbers, and be like, yeah, I just want to come up and hang out with you for a weekend. I'll fly myself up.
That's the way to do it,
like,
man.
You don't realize it, but a lot of the most successful people in the world have had mentors.
Yep.
And mentoring is such a big thing in the States, I find. And I don't know if it's so much up here, but you hear of stories like, the Gary Shandling documentaries that just came out on HBO are fantastic. But as much as they're about Gary Shandling's life, it's more about him being a mentor to Judd Apatow, who made the films.
Yeah.
And I never knew that they had a relationship at all. Wow. Like Judd Apatow's entire career, he had Gary Shandling helping him out, looking over his shoulder, and and it's that, and their friendship and their mentorship to it's just an amazing story. And that's cool. Yeah. That's really cool. But I don't even know how I got on that, but I just think when you're touring and you get to work with all these great acts as you get, you watch, like I'll sit through, even today, if there's a really good headliner that I like, I'll sit through 3 of his 5 shows.
Yeah.
And just really, because seeing a comedian once is one thing. But if you really want to learn, go see him, go to a Saturday night and watch the early and late show.
Yeah.
Watch him do the same show twice. Watch the differences. How he relaxed are the jokes the exact same? Are they different? If the joke is better, does it go farther? It's just interesting to watch the differences. I remember watching a guy named Andrew Gross, and I watched his first show, and I thought, oh my God, mind-blowing. And then when I watched the next show, everything was exactly the same, to even the way he pulled the cigarette up to his mouth and smoke, that's how long ago that was. And every exhale, every lighting of another cigarette, every motion he had was pretty much choreographed to his act, and it was perfect. And it's like, wow, like nothing is improvised. This is all, and that's when you realize there are acts, and then there are also artists. And if you have an act, you know, and an act works, it's amazing. Like Pierre Bro is a fine example of a comedian in town who his act has not really changed in a long time. But every time I see him, this act does so well, and he's such a good, talented performer that he makes the material fresh, even though the material is, some of it's over 20 years old.
Wow.
He's got great jokes. And there are comics that think, I had a comic say, well, I know you don't keep a joke after 3 years. I'm like, who told you that? And he's like, well, you don't. It just, you should always be writing new stuff. I was like, look, a joke is like a plant. It's a tree. You plant the seed, and then you watch it flourish as you build it and create it. I was like, do you cut down a tree after 3 years? No, you let it grow. Sometimes you just let it grow by itself, or leave, come back, but don't ever throw out any jokes. That's the dumbest thing ever. Those ideas should always be there. You can always revisit, rework, refigure it out. There are jokes that I was doing 20 years ago that are still in my set today because I found a different place for them, or maybe I write something new, and then it's like, oh, you know what would go good in here? That old part of this joke. So I bring that over here and I put that here. Boom! It's got a new life in a different joke. Thanks, organ donor joke. You know, and I don't ever think you should ever throw out anything.
No, I have some one-liners I've written that still make me laugh. I probably wrote them 10 years ago. Been doing comedy 3 years, and I just can't wait to find the spot to put them in a story or something.
There's nothing better than when that moment comes, and you get to drop that joke, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Where did you pull that out of?" And,
genius.
And it's just like, oh my god, I've been waiting 7 years to get that joke.
It's crazy, isn't it? For like one laugh, you know?
For one laugh, and it's like, but it's so gratifying. Like, because like I write a lot of obscure jokes that never make the stage. But every now and again, if a situation comes up, it's like, oh, you just had that joke ready. I'm like, no, I didn't. It was there. I've had it in my head for years, and I just never used it. There's
some definite value in just writing out stuff, right? How often do you sit down and write jokes?
I'm not very persistent when it comes like that. A lot of times I just think of the jokes in my head. If I think they're worth writing down, I write them down.
Because you must write your act down. Like, it's so complex.
I don't. What I do is I record most of my shows, and I watch, and I go back and watch, and then I write set lists. So a lot of my jokes aren't written down anywhere, but I can go through a book, and I can pull out a tape or a card, and I can go on there, and I can look up the joke that's listed. And I'm like, what was this joke again? And then I just go look, and I look at the joke. I'm like, okay.
So you have it organized in a book?
Yeah, I have books, and they're logged.
And you keep them on memory cards?
Memory cards and cassettes.
Yeah. Well, that's a huge amount of time dedicated to that, right? I mean, that's not like you're not doing. But it's not like you're lazy.
No, it's not
just
like
a different way of doing
it's just
it.
a different way of doing it. Like, I hate writing stuff out. It makes me feel like I'm doing homework, and I never did homework in high school.
Yes, obviously.
I just did not want to, unless I liked the class. But I liked the class, and I was interested in it. You know, I would do it. Like, I remember, but I would always like put comedy in everything I did.
Yes.
Like, I remember one year in an exam, I had to discuss the Cold War in full, and I was like, the Cold War can be discussed in full by just discussing one movie that represents it, Rocky IV. And then I just broke everything down in Rocky IV, and made legitimate arguments that when Apollo Creed was killed, the Russians were the closest to America as that's the Cuban Missile Crisis right there. That's what that is. The threat is real. The Russians are in our area. They're in us now. Like, what's going to happen? well, we better get our defenses up and get our fucking act going and get Rocky, and then you literally have the training is literally the arms race.
Yeah.
One guy is doing steroids, they're showing he's cheating, like the Russians were cheating in this,
of course.
And it's just such everything is a metaphor for the Cold War in that movie. So I ended up getting a raised failure in that class, which I was pretty happy with.
What?
I had a raised failure, which means we're giving you 50 because...
Oh, raised failure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had like 47 going in.
Yeah.
And there was an exam, and it's just like, yeah, you're probably going to fail this class. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, I think you pulled it off. That's genius.
Oh, he gave me the raised failure, and I saw him the teacher that summer. And actually, I saw him at the video store. And he just looked at me and went, Rocky 4. And just shook his head, and he just turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
And I just I knew I made him laugh. And he was a good teacher like that. So he was a teacher that entertained me and made me laugh at times. So I knew I could do that type of with him. I had a lot of great teachers in high school that did inspire me to work hard. But then I had a lot of teachers that just told me, like one teacher in particular was like, you're joking around. It's never going to get you anywhere in life. And, I carry that for inspiration. And it's like, there's one teacher that drove me to be funny and be successful at it. And I am successful. This is all I do for a living. And I consider that a success. Yeah. That's the dream job. Be a comedian. Don't have a real job. I'm doing it. This is a dream. And of course, what you don't realize are there are different levels of dreams. Yeah. Or you once you achieve a dream, it's time to. This is actually a Van Halen song. Dream another dream. This dream is over. And you should always be redoing your dreams.
I want you to write that on my table. That was what's that? The dream another dream. This dream is over.
Yeah,
that's great.
Well, that's especially for you.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like when you realized, your football's done, and why would you not go into wrestling?
I tried. Let me rewind that just a little bit, because my dream growing up for 10 years, from the time my brother passed away to the time I made it, which you probably know my story, but that was exactly 10 years, October 30th, 1985 to October 30th, 1995, when I made the Miami Dolphins. And there was such a relief when I did that, when I actually made, because it was 10 years of failure, it was 10 years of rejection, it was 10 years of people telling me I couldn't do it, but just never giving it up. And that was my motivation, right? That there, not necessarily proving people wrong, but proving the situations wrong, proving what's happening wrong, proving my failure wrong. And the fact that I made it, there was such this relief and enjoying the moment. And I look back now, and it was actually a kid at a school said to me, sir, once you made it, why didn't you reset your goals to be a Hall of Famer or something like that? And I went, that kid's right. You got to re-dream, whatever you just said, reset your goals.
Yeah,
it's not just, because I'd put so much, 10 years into it, right? I mean, we're always told that things take 10 years and never give up. And it's hard to imagine the failures leading anywhere until you achieve something and look back and go, those are the reasons why, right? And so if I had just, I'm not going to second guess myself and say I should have, because it was an amazing accomplishment. But you got to, even when you fail or you succeed, you got to reevaluate your goals and then reset them and reset the steps that in the direction that you want to go all the time, right? And I mean, I did that for 10 years, right? Things didn't go well, and I said, okay, well, next year, this is what's going to happen. This is how I'm going to make that different, and you just keep moving in that direction. And that's amazing that you said that. That's huge. And also, obviously, we have a lot of people on this podcast who are successful and talk about what motivates them. And the only one that comes to mind who is motivated by proving others wrong is Henry Burris on this podcast. And that struck me as interesting.
Love
because
him.
Amazing guy who's achieved so much. And like, he just kept going. And people kept telling him he couldn't do it. He just didn't listen to him. And he wanted to prove the wrong. And look, what he's done to Ottawa and Ottawa football. It's amazing. He's done something that hadn't been done since 76 or
he's
many
definitely
years, 50
he's definitely
years.
the most likable and probably best quarterback since Damon Allen. That the city's had
in Ottawa. Yeah,
for sure. And that's been that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's Damon Allen was like 91.
Yeah, Damon Allen was my quarterback in BC, and I'm looking over your shoulder, and there's a picture of Damon Allen with the Grey Cup in his hand right there.
Absolutely love him. The year after I taped my Comedy Now, they sent all the Comedy Now people in 2008, the summer that we were on, they sent us to CTV's Toronto Film Festival launch party, or maybe it was like and all the TV shows walked the carpet, or the cast of the TV shows, and we were the cast of Comedy Now. There was like me and Nikki Payne and a few other people. I can't remember who else. Peter Anthony. Anyways, a bunch of us walked the red carpet, and then we got this party. There's this party. P. Diddy's playing at it. It's private, and it's awesome. And then they got like Samantha Ronson's DJing, who was Lindsay Lohan's girlfriend at the time, and Lindsay was like sitting behind her. And then I had a gold bracelet because I was talent, and I could go anywhere. I didn't even realize it. So I ended up like on the top floor of this balcony that overlooks the parking lot at Much Music. And then I turn around and Damon Allen's there, and I'm like right drunk. And I was like, I just had one of those conversations with Damon Allen where like, I feel so bad for him because I like went fanboy on him. I was like, you were so good, and that team was so bad. And like he rushed for 900 yards in one season with Ottawa.
That's unbelievable.
Like over 900 yards.
Yeah.
That is insane. That means
insane.
every play he was running for his life.
Yeah, when you break that down, that's what, like 50 yards a game for a quarterback?
Yeah.
That's like a good running back, right?
He was a winner everywhere he went, but Ottawa was just so terrible. And then there are stories that I've heard about the team that I can't even say because I've heard them from like, a reputable source, and I know they're all true. And it's just like, oh my God, like these stories are insane. And just wow, like
he's a great guy. Not only a great guy on the field, because you always had so much confidence in him on the field, but off the field he just brought this a different attitude that anyone else did. In a professional sort of change room and sideline, there's a certain amount of stress where if you look at Damon Allen, he was a kid playing. Always, right? Like in the hallways and meetings, he was just a kid having a good time and really good at it too, which helps. But he totally brought this comfort to the level. Like it felt more like he made it a family because he was maybe not the dad, but the big brother, And he was just always just cool and having a good time, and it was fun to be around for sure. Because there's guys who are the complete opposite, who are really talented on the field and just toxic in the change room, and he was the complete opposite and great to be around. And I felt, I had some great quarterbacks. I had Dan Marino, Steve McNair, and Damon Allen, and just amazing to be around. So cool. I thought of a story there while you're talking about, because the mentorship and always finding someone who's done something and sort of asking them how, right? That's a big, how do you do that? So the Damon Allen story, I was at the combine in Indianapolis, NFL combine, and offensive line go, and then the next group to go were DBs. And so you have a change room, you have a hotel room, and it's connected to the Hoosier Dome. So
cool.
You don't have to go outside or anything, but it's all one enclosed thing. And at the time, they didn't have a TV show about it, right? So you couldn't get in or out. It was just football players, coaches, and scouts. And so after I was done, I was exhausted, and I had about like a 10-hour wait to my airplane to leave town. So I went back up to my hotel room, and I'm just relaxing, and there's a knock on the door, and I open the door, and it's Troy Vincent.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's coming in. He's the next, DB who turned out to be, I think, probably a first-round pick or something. And he hustles in the room, and he's got a guy with him, and it's his agent. He snuck him in. His agent snuck in. And so I'm sitting there for like 8 hours talking to this guy, and he was just such a nice guy. And he'd been Deion Sanders' agent as well. And so he's like, when Deion was at the combine, he had a fur coat on. And so what happens at the combine is everyone's standing around, you do everything they say, and you're nervous, and everybody's nervous, and these are all like superstars of college football, and they're all nervous, and there's all like super, NFL coaches, and everybody, you look up at the stands, and they all got the stopwatches, and it's like every guy you've ever heard of, and it's an amazing situation. And here's so a guy would be at a podium, and he'd go, next up, Mark Hatfield, 40 meters, and you'd walk up, and you'd like, okay, give the thumbs up, and you're ready to go, and then you go and you do your 40 meters, and then you go and you wait with everybody else to do the next thing. And so they're like, next up, Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders. He's nowhere. Deion Sanders, this is your last call for the 40 meter. And I guess he comes walking down the tunnel with a fur coat on.
Yeah.
Flips his fur coat off, and he's still wearing his warm-up suit.
Yeah.
Waves at the guys in the stands, the coaches, does his whatever 4-2, walks back, puts the fur coat on, and leaves. He didn't do any other events.
I love him.
Isn't that amazing?
I love him so much.
Yeah.
In that debate, the debate that happens all the time, who's better, Bo or Deion?
Yeah.
I was like, there's only one guy that played in the Super Bowl and the World Series.
Unbelievable.
There's only one guy that hit a home run and got a touchdown in the same week.
Same weekend.
There's only one guy that played one game in the afternoon for Atlanta, and that night played for the Braves. That night in a playoff game in the play. There's only one guy.
That's amazing.
The other guy got caught from behind, and his career was ended.
Yeah.
As great as Bo was, he's not Dion.
Yeah.
And he never could talk like Dion. Like look at all those night commercials were written for him.
Yeah.
He didn't have his own catchphrases; they were written for him.
That's right.
Dion is a performer. He's an entertainer. There's a reason why Dion's on TV every week for football. Mm-hmm. We don't know where Bo Jackson is.
That's right. We did a preseason game when I was playing for the Oilers. We did a preseason game in El Paso, Texas, and I guess it was El Paso Stadium, and it was like 120,000 people. Mm-hmm. Like a surreal event. Okay, it's built into a cliff, and the sun was setting, and there's guys with machine guns on top of it. And here, there's 120,000 people just going crazy. Right? You can't understand. Like they're one entity. Right? They're just making the same noise, and you can't pick out one person, and it's just all one thing. And here's Deion Sanders. I don't even know if he played a snap in the game, but he was doing like his warm up. A skip and B skip, and every single person in the stadium was watching him instead of the football game the whole time. He had them captivated the whole time just by who he was.
Okay, this is a pretty cool story involving Damon Allen that I'll say, because you just talked about somebody taking attention away from what was being done.
Yeah.
So Ken Hobart, you remember Ken Hobart used to play?
Hobart.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about. So apparently, Damon would be out there playing his ass off in the field. We're not getting the results because we're not a good team.
Yeah.
And and the fans are chanting Hobart to go in, which is stupid because Hobart is nowhere near the talent that Damon Allen has.
Right.
They just like him because he won a game or something like that. So the fans start chanting Hobart, Hobart. It used to happen almost every game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Damon Allen complained. Like one time, he's like, I'm out there playing my butt off, and they're chanting Hobart, Hobart. And then he went to the coach. He's like, what? He's like, why are you telling him to warm up? And he's like, what? And he goes, he gets the fans riled up. He grabs the football and he starts throwing the ball at the back, warming up. When I'm out there in the field trying to win, and then all the fans think he's going in, and they start chanting Hobart, Hobart. Yeah. And then the coach is like, he's warming up, and he's like, yeah. So the coach went back, watched the film of the previous couple games, and then just called him in the office. Yeah, you're cut.
No.
Yeah.
He cut Hobart. That's what happened to Hobart?
That's what happened to him.
I never had a clue where Hobart went.
He got cut because he was going into business for himself on the sideline.
Oh, wow.
Listening to the Hobart chants, hoping that that's going to put him in and put him as a starter. He's playing his little game. And in the end, Damon's like, what the fuck is he doing? Yeah. Why is this guy warming up?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know if you're not supposed to warm up, you don't warm up. Like,
really?
I didn't know that, it's like, so, like, usually the coach stands beside the quarterback is on the clipboard, right?
Yeah.
So, it's insane. It's insane. I don't even know, who I'd like to think that the third quarterback in that situation on that team might have been Jason Garrett. He's like, okay, this will never happen on any of the teams I coach.
Jason Garrett.
Yeah, he was a coach. He was that third string for Ottawa one year.
Come on.
Yeah, the coach for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, third stringer. Stringer. I think it was Tony Kimbrough might have been on the team that year.
There's some amazing CFL connections to the NFL. Steve McNair, who I played with in NBC, which is MVP of the NFL one year in Super Bowl, and his brother played for the Argos.
Yeah,
which I didn't know until I was there, and he befriended me. Steve McNair did, and he's like Hatfield.
And there's also a lot of wrestlers that are coming out of the CFL. Yeah. A lot of wrestlers obviously come out of the NFL. Mm-hmm. But some of the greatest wrestlers have come out of the CFL, like
because they need the cash afterwards.
Even to this day, Roman Reigns played for the Edmonton Eskimos. Mm-hmm. He's like the top or Bill Goldberg played for the Sacramento Gold Miners. It's like there's some like crazy names, and then you like guys like Tito Santana played for the BC Lions, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan played for the Argos. The Rock was on the practice roster for Calgary. He did not play for Calgary. He maybe played one.
Yeah, he's got a picture in the Stampeders uniform. I've seen that for sure.
Well, here's the thing. I've said this time and time again. The Rock's dad is from Nova Scotia, Amherst, Nova Scotia. Really? Rocky Johnson. His grandmother still lives in that town. His uncle's there as well. He's family in the Maritimes. If he would have just claimed his dad's citizenship, he wouldn't have. He got cut because he was an import.
Yeah.
That wasn't good enough to start.
Yeah.
So they couldn't keep him.
Interesting.
So, but had he been, a Canadian under his dad's name, like have a Canadian passport, he might have had a 10, 12-year run in the CFL and might not have ever had the wrestling career that he had.
Be selling cars in Saskatchewan right now.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Like, luckily, he wasn't smart enough to get his Canadian papers.
Yeah, it's a very loose definition of a Canadian. I can remember some people who were deemed non-imports at the time, and their dad had maybe like spent 6 months in Canada as a child or something, which is, whatever. It's all good because that's the CFL, and there's so much interesting stories about the CFL because of those things, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a very unique and interesting league for sure, and I enjoyed every minute of being there. And to compare it to the NFL, it's like comparing completely two different things, right? Like,
well, the two different games
they're
entirely.
different games for sure.
Yeah, totally two different games, and people don't realize that too. Like even like the adjustment from playing from a yard between lines to no yard, like to it's everything.
It's everything.
It's everything.
My first snap, because I never played a snap of American football till I was in training camp with the Detroit Lions, and I did a million things to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Over prepared more than anybody, I guarantee, that was at that training camp right there. The one thing I did not prepare for it was there was no yard. I can remember my first one-on-one against Luther Ellis. I'm like, ready to go. Oh, what just? I grabbed, because I didn't know what's about to happen. It happened so fast. I grabbed his jersey as he ran by me, and I ripped it off of him, and we had to do it again because that wasn't an acceptable one-on-one. And it was Luther Ellis's, the first-round pick.
Yeah.
His first one-on-one. So we did it again, and it was like a split-second decision to just do something absolutely ridiculous. I didn't know what to do, and we did it again, and it was much better than that. And, you learn fast, but you learn to trust yourself a little bit more and to anticipate more. And it became so that the yard was a detriment to me. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause now you've got that split second to think about it, and that person has that split second to make another move or have another option. So, you can look at it both ways. It was in the NFL, it's bam, you're engaged.
Well, it's inevitable. I remember, I only played high school, but I remember there are times where you come up and sometimes there's nobody to block. You know, like you have the, or especially if you're pass blocking. You drop by, you literally have to wait for them to come to you. Like,
especially a tackle too. Like tackle, you're waiting a little bit longer than a guard and a center, right? It's it becomes a game where you gotta. It's a mental game, like
because they just want to run around you. They don't want. Why are they gonna run at you? Like it's like no, you got to. It's way more. I find with the yard it is difficult. Well, I don't know 100% sure, but I think logically, the engagement comes a little bit later. So, if you have time to move or whatever, but where the NFL, it's just that immediate impact. So it's like boom, and then,
Yeah. And it's also because of the amount of tries, downs you have, right? 3 downs as opposed to 4. You're going to pass the ball more in Canadian football, right? You need the yardage. You need to get it. And the size of the field, too, right? So wide that you can just throw it across the field, throw it downfield, run. The quarterback can then move out of the pocket.
And just the size of the field itself is so huge. Like, you can make a 40-yard pass for 2 yards if you just throw it, just to the sideline.
Yeah. The best quarterbacks in the CFL, that's what they do, right? Doug Flutie, just roll out and throw it across the field. Try and stop me.
There's certain quarterbacks that I would always wanted to see, because Doug Flutie was such a great CFL quarterback, and then
best ever.
And then I love that he went and then when he played for Buffalo, because that was the last year the Bills made the playoffs, and most Bills fans would, I don't know if it's most, at least me, I know, I always hated Wade Phillips for pulling him until I saw a documentary where Wade Phillips said he didn't want to pull Flutie. That was Ralph Wilson's decision.
Okay.
The owner decided, no, we're going with Rob Johnson because that's our guy. That's the guy that we want. That's the guy that's going to lead us. Flutie, they just signed Flutie from the Argos because they thought, oh, we'll bring in a bunch of Canadians into the games if we have Doug Flutie on the bench.
Yeah.
And we got,
which probably worked.
And we got Steve Christie from Oakville. This is good.
That's right.
So yeah, you would think it worked, and it did work. Of course it worked, but nobody expected Flutie to come off the bench. Well, I expected it, and they went from 0-3 into the playoffs that year. and it was all Flutie.
Yeah, he's amazing quarterback for sure.
He's the best. He's so good.
Yeah, what was his career like in the NFL? Like 7 years or something. It was substantial.
Yeah,
Warren Moonish.
It wasn't. I don't think he'll ever go to the NFL Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. I don't think he had that career in the NFL that he wanted.
But it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Is it?
I think so.
It should. If it is, if it is the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Well, then yes, there are plenty of Canadian players that should be in there
Damon
as well.
Allen, for sure.
Damon Allen, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I prefer Damon and Marcus, to be honest. But
he was a grandfather when he was the Grey Cup MVP.
Isn't that insane?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is insane, and his longevity in the CFL as well is fantastic. Man, it's just like they're like. There's so many guys that I would put in the Pro Football Hall of Fame out of the CFL just because so many great players. Mm-hmm. My God, jeepers. I always loved watching CFL players go to the NFL and succeed as well.
Yep.
Like, who was the last big one? Was probably the end for Miami, Cameron Wake.
Okay.
He was with BC, and now he's with Miami.
Yeah, I love when it's.
Fantastic.
I love when it's a receiver too, because then you can actually see them play, and you can see like there's stats, there's measurable things. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
For sure. I mean, obviously I like it when it's an O lineman, but once you're drafted as an O lineman, you'd rarely see them ever again. Like the greatest year of my life was my draft year, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's when people cared, and that's when it was like, wow, that's cool, you're doing that, and then after that, they're like, oh, you're still playing, like.
So which side did you like? So you played. Like, did you play with Richmond Webb?
Yes, Richmond Webb was there,
and because he's awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome, unbelievable, and funny guy. You're talking about funny guys. That guy could be a stand-up for sure. I know there's a difference between funny off and the ability to speak into a microphone in a room full of people, but that guy, every second sentence was a burst out laughing. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he thought of that. Another guy that's super funny. You ever heard of Irv Eatman?
No.
Irv Eatman was an offensive lineman, big, huge, 6'8" guy, just looked the part, completely weak. He'd be in the weight room trying to curl 25s, and but the funniest guy, man, so fun. Like, he was one of the first guys. This is in the 95. He was like, he was watching game film. Consider the year 95, and somebody knew what somebody was going to do, and Irv Eatman goes, he read your email, right? Read your mail, like an email was like, I don't even have been invented, like, and he read your email and the room just died. Like, that was the funniest thing, but he's a super funny guy, man. There's so many guys in the change room, just like, that's what a football change room is. Guys just
joking around. It's not much different than the fire hall, right?
That's right. Not much different than the fire hall, and not much different than the hotel with a bunch of comedians staying there, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's been an hour, man. That was amazing. And so you got a podcast? Talking Wrestling?
Talking Wrestling on Never Sleeps Network. Available on iTunes and pretty much wherever popular platforms that have podcasts. I guess it's on Stitcher and Google Play and all those places.
You get to talk to I
get to talk to
retired CFL guys.
Pro wrestlers, comics, whomever. If they like wrestling and they want to be on the show and we can make it happen, then that's it. And it's not a review show. It's not anything directly. It's just talking wrestling.
Conversations.
It's wide open. It's about having conversations and that people want to listen to.
That's amazing, man. And you're at Absolute all weekend?
All weekend this weekend. Yeah, all weekend this weekend. And I don't know when this is airing, but
tonight.
Or it's actually live on Facebook.
Yeah, it's on Facebook now. It'll be on iTunes later.
Yeah. This is airing. Yeah, I'm at come see me at Absolute, tell jokes and be funny and maybe your laughter will be on a CD. Who knows?
Believe it or not. That was great, man.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome
being here. That was great. Good times.
Wicked.